Hello participants, welcome to the unit on writing. This is unit 4. It has 4 modules and this is module 1 on summarizing. I'm Meera Srinivas and I'm here to help you learn summarizing skills. In the previous module on text structure, you learned that texts contain main ideas and supporting details, and when we read text, we note down the main points and keywords for future use. Making notes from a text is the first step in summarizing. In this module, you will practice further reading, note making, paraphrasing and summarizing skills. By the end of this module, you will be able to read and identify the main ideas from a text, make notes of the main points and develop them into paragraphs, paraphrase sentences and write a summary of a text. Please go to worksheet 1 for a detailed listing of the module objectives. Please download the worksheet and keep it ready. It has learning items and practice tasks for you. Shall we now look at a few slides to understand summarizing? What is a summary? Generally, it is considered to be a condensed version of a text. It could be a report, a book, a chapter, a letter, a speech. It contains the main ideas of a text restated in the reader's own words. Summaries are always shorter than the original texts because when you write a summary, you give the readers a gist of the original text and save them the time and trouble of reading the entire original. Now, why do we need summaries? What are its uses? Let's see. If a friend asks us about a book that we have read, we do not tell them about everything in the book, do we? Instead, we tell them a summary of the most interesting and important aspects. Similarly, while summarizing academic writing texts, we follow the same principle. And this is very useful for you in presenting the main gist of an article or a chapter or a book that you have read. It is useful for preparing for an examination, for making brief presentations on what you have read, also to make notes from lectures. You can also use summarizing skills for reporting on an article, a project or a study. It is also useful for narrating others' experiences. For example, do you remember the speaking module on monologues where your teacher Madhumita talks about her personal experience in Hyderabad? If you have to report what she says to other people, if you have to share her experiences with others, you could say it this way. Over the years, Hyderabad has grown in size and population. The traffic has increased because of overcrowding, and the situation is really bad in rainy season due to waterlogging. Hyderabad has become a traffic nightmare today. Now, the original text had 137 words, and now this is a summary of just 35 words, but you have conveyed the essence of what she said. What is the process involved in summarizing a text? You need to follow a few steps here to make a good summary. First, read the text carefully, at least twice. Ask yourself whether you can state the theme, the main idea of the text briefly. If you can, think of a title for the text. Then, list all the main points in note form. Remember, You should not include examples, quotations, and minor details from the original text. Draft then a summary of the text based on your notes and not on the original text. While drafting a summary, try to use your own words as much as possible. Restate the ideas in your own words and sentences. This is called paraphrasing. This is an important aspect in the process of summarizing, as it helps to condense the ideas from the original text. In case you wish to use the author's own words, put them in quotation marks. Don't include your own ideas and comments in a summary. Remember, you are summarizing the author's ideas. After you do this, check your summary against the original and see how accurately the summary has been drafted. Do not distort the author's ideas. Then count the number of words in the summary. The summary shouldn't be too long or too short. If it is too short, we see whether all the points are included. If it is too long, rephrase or condense further. Check the style, grammar, and punctuation of your writing. Make changes if necessary. Finally, rewrite the summary starting with the heading and make a final check for errors. Shall we now look at a few examples to learn more about the steps involved in summarizing? I would like you to go to worksheet 1 and read the text on internet-based technology, and then the analysis and the summary given below. Have you finished reading the analysis and the summary? Okay, let us discuss them, shall we? Look at the analysis. Now, if you read the text, the first sentence in that paragraph is about digital technology and its impact on education. However, is it the main idea of the text? Does the text focus on digital technology and curriculum changes in education? If you read the other sentences in the paragraph, we realize that second sentence in italics carries the main idea of the text. Do you agree? So, what is the main idea of this paragraph? Let us write it. The main idea is about human skills. It's not about digital technology. The text says that in spite of technological development, the emphasis today is on human skills. I'm sure you agree with me that this is the main idea of this paragraph. And how does the author develop this? He develops the idea through a quotation and a reference to the World Economic Forum report. The supporting evidence helps to elaborate the main idea, don't they? The final sentence of the paragraph repeats the main idea and provides an impactful conclusion to the paragraph by making a reference to robots. Is this a good paragraph? What do you say? Now, if you look at the analysis given below this paragraph, you'll notice that we said the main idea is about the value of human skills in spite of technological development today. And we said that the supporting details are there in the quotation as well as in the World Economic Forum report. We made notes of the points using abbreviations. Have you seen the abbreviations there? A lot of abbreviations which help us to condense the information and to write it very briefly. But while developing the notes into a summary, we need to expand these abbreviations also combine and use paraphrasing techniques. Now, is the process clear to you? And now here is step 3. Let us now convert the notes into a short summary without referring to the original text. Now, this is the summary. In spite of the high impact of digital technology on education today, there is an increased need for human values, beliefs, creative and critical thinking abilities, and collaboration skills in education as well as in occupational sectors at the present time. Interestingly, human skills seem to be more important and valued than ever before. So this is a summary of the original text. It's just about 54 words, and we have captured the essence of the original, haven't we? Do you think this is a good summary? Yes. Now let's look at the analysis of the summary to find out. Now the analysis part of the summary, I'm going to read out to you. See, the main points which we had noted down in step 2 in the form of abbreviations, they form the basis of the summary. We have expanded the abbreviations in the summary, in other words. The first and second points in the notes are combined into one sentence, and linking words like in spite of as well as and interestingly are used to connect the ideas. This example shows how to condense and combine information and use paraphrasing. Now let's move on to task 1.2 in your worksheet. There are 2 links given there to 2 PDF documents. Open the first document, go to the section called Summary and read text 2 on illiteracy and text 3 on women entrepreneurs. Read the summaries as well. Have you read the text and the summaries? Here is an analysis. Let me explain the analysis to you. The main idea in the news item that you read is that the volunteers are helping children from underprivileged backgrounds to read and write. Therefore, the other details about illiteracy in poor countries and in rich countries like the US are not included. The reader has also substituted words like underprivileged for low-income areas and literacy skills for learn to read. These are examples of paraphrasing. Did you notice them in the summary? The reader has also condensed the information into one sentence. However, it carries all the essential information. So you notice that this is a good example of a summary because it has all the details which are there in the original text, and the writer has used paraphrasing and other skills involved in summarizing. Now let's look at the other text on women entrepreneurs. In this text, the focus is on how Women Initiative is helping women entrepreneurs learn the fundamentals of business to overcome the challenges. Therefore, details such as the different challenges women face, education, financing, and the quotation which is there in the original is not included. Remember, we discussed this earlier. We said we don't include the quotation from the original text in the summary. The reader also uses paraphrasing and condensing techniques very effectively to convey the main idea. For example, the writer uses cornerstones of the business world refer to planning, financing, networking, and marketing, which is there in the original text. So those 4 words, instead of that, the writer uses the phrase cornerstones of the business world. And a simple word like countries is substituted for national economies. So this way the summary is shorter than the original and still has all the essence of the original text. Now let's move on to the second PDF document, shall we? Go to the section called Summary again and read the sentence on MOOCs and the inappropriate summary given there. After this, take a look at the analysis given here. The focus of the original text is on MOOCs and its growing popularity, and that is the main idea. If you look at the original text and the summary, the length is similar. Whereas we have already discussed this, we have said that summary needs to be shorter than the original text. Also, the main idea is not clearly highlighted in the summary. The sentences are not linked, they do not hang together. The text lacks coherence. Whereas, look at the appropriate summary given there. That focuses on the main idea and is shorter than the original text. It also mentions the source of the text to show it is someone else's idea. In all the three examples we have discussed so far, we see how a text is condensed into a summary by selecting main points, paraphrasing words, and combining information. Let's now go to worksheet 1 and do task 1.3. You have a text there called Coffee and its Processing. I would like you to read only the first 3 paragraphs of the text and the first sentence of the last paragraph. Then complete the outline of the text given below and develop a summary from the outline, not from the original text. Have you completed the outline of the summary? Here is an example summary that we have written. It goes like this. After 3-4 years of planting, coffee produces fruit. The seeds are separated from the ripened fruits through wet and dry techniques. In the wet process, the pulp is first removed by a pulping machine, by fermentation and washing. Then the coffee seeds are dried under the sunlight or by hot air dryers, whereas in the dry process, fruits are directly placed under the sun or dried by hot air dryers till seeds are separated from them. Roasting of coffee seeds helps to develop its smell and taste. The original text was about 250 words. Now you can see the summary has just 85 words, but everything that was there in the original text is captured in the summary. We've used a lot of linking words to here, like after, as you can see it in the summary, then, whereas, and finally we're talking about the way it is roasted to develop its smell and taste. We have rewritten that sentence, haven't we? Now, can we move on to task 1.4? This gives you additional practice in reading, note making, and summarizing. I would like you to read the text and complete the notes given in the table, and then use the information to write a short summary. Did you find the notes useful while writing the summary? Always remember to make notes before you summarize a text. Let us now do task 1.5 for additional practice. I want you to read the text and answer the questions that follow. Now let's look at the answers to these questions. Let me read out the first question to you. What is the main idea or theme of the paragraph? Now, if you look at the text carefully, the main idea is in the first sentence. It says, there are effective ways to teach young learners English in primary classes, and context plays a very important role here. And one of the ways in which we can do it is by using theme-based, cognitively engaging tasks and activities which involve learners in meaningful interaction with language. And that is really the main focus of this text, the main idea. Now, what are the other sentences in the paragraph which help to elaborate this main idea? Let's read some of them. It talks about using games, stories, songs, dialogues and role plays are the activities it suggests that we use to contextualize young learner instruction, and talk specifically about stories and games and how they help in making the learning process interesting for children. It talks about how games can promote interaction and listening to stories can help to reinforce language acquisition among learners. Now, when you read such a text, I think it's important to note down the main points. What would you really note down? What have you noted it down, in fact? You could first talk about the main idea, then about the stories and the games and why they are considered to be useful activities for young learner instruction. And you can talk about the props, the background for the activities and how they can stimulate the learning process and make it interesting for the learners. Games do provide a context because it is always fun and enjoyable for the young people. So these are the main points, and you can take it down in the form of points, bulleted points or abbreviations as you might like to do it. But please don't include quotations. We have quite a few number of quotations here. There is one by Pink, there is another quotation by Egan, another one by Curtin and Dahlberg. Remember what we said, you don't really have to repeat these quotations in the summary. Then you can develop your notes into a short summary of the paragraph. This is the process really that you need to adopt in summarizing. Reading carefully, picking up the main points, noting it down in the form of notes, and then developing it into a short summary, retaining the essence of the original, but using your own words, restating the ideas of the original. I hope this process is clear to you. Now, finally, you have a home assignment. This is something that you could do later because the text is fairly long. There is a link given in the worksheet. I would like you to first go to the link, watch the video on summarizing. It's about 10 minutes long. It's a very interesting resource, very useful. Watch the video completely. You will get a completely clear picture about what is summarizing. Then look at the text given there. It's a fairly long text and summarize it in your own words. I'm sure you'll enjoy doing this. So let's try to understand what we have learned in this module. In this module, you have learned to read and identify main ideas. You have learned to make notes and summaries based on the notes. You have learned to use paraphrasing and connecting words. I hope the module has helped you understand the steps involved in summarizing, and you will be able to summarize longer texts, articles, chapters, and even books. Thank you.